Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Super-Fanta-Fi. This being a show where I talk about TV shows of the supernatural, fantasy, and or science fictional genre. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the latest episode of the Shannara Chronicles. So, another great episode. Immediately, we sadly have Will and Eritrea going down two different paths. Again, it's like, you just got reunited last episode after a year, and now it's like, you're separated again, just because Destiny calls them in two different directions. And it's kind of interesting, like, especially, it's kind of a spoilers for like the next episode, but obviously like they're on those two separate paths for specific reasons because they're both got their parts to play in the grand scheme of things. Eritrea and Jax go and warn Ander about the whole situation. So much gets revealed in that situation. Adon gets exposed as a member of the Crimson, which hits Ander super hard because that's a person he considers his best friend. That's someone he grew up with, which is a little funny because we didn't see you hiding our hair in season 1. But that's just me nitpicking. I just think it's funny. But nevertheless, it's like someone he considers a best friend, and it's like he's been under his like nose the entire time, betraying him and undermining him. I appreciate the moment like he was about to pull his weapon. Ander took the helmet and just knocked the shit out of him. Because it's actually kind of interesting. Like, I didn't really, like, in retrospect, I did not realize how many damn people, like, they killed last episode when they were escaping from Greymark. Did not realize it because you see all those bodies, like, they really killed that many people? Holy crap. Like, I doubt that. That's not all of the Crimson, but that's a huge chunk of the army going like that from, like, 3 people being on the offensive, that being Eritrea, Marith, and Jax. They kicked some serious ass, dude. It's like, it just in retrospect, it's like, it didn't seem like it was that many people to me, but part of me was almost thinking, like, is that like all the Crimson have to offer? Because it was like those 2 guys went off to like try and find them, but only like they're the only ones that came back. I mean, granted, the other Crimson soldiers could have been like elsewhere doing what else, like whatever else, like looking for them or whatever. But it's like, man. And for Ryga, that had to suck because it meant like he lost like a huge chunk. Not only did he lose the 2 important people he needed, Alanon and Will, so that he could find the Codex. But also, side note, ended up finding out he also lost the Elfstones too. Did not realize that Eritrea has snatched him up. Which I guess, to be fair, they were probably in the same place that Alanon's staff was, so that's probably why that was very easy for her to do. So I was thinking like he still had the Elfstones. Turns out that's not the case. So that was very good. Last thing you would want is Ryga to have those. But because Adon believes so wholeheartedly in his cause that he's doing the right thing for his people. But then Ander kind of brings up, like, what about Catania? It's like, well, she's dead. I was like, there's some part of me that's still hoping, like, even when she suffered that wound, that basically they put her somewhere. But it's like, and to be fair, it's like, Michael, why would they do that? She was definitely dead. Like, why would they bother keeping her alive or just keeping her locked up? It's like, she's a loose end because if they kept her alive, that's just a bigger chance of the truth coming out. So that sucks, dude. I mean, like, I brought it up then too, but I'm gonna reiterate it. Like, it sucks because Bandon saved her and now she's dead. Like, I'm curious to know where that falls in the category because I think Bandon still holds on to her, and it's just kind of interesting that even this season their characters never interacted. Might be something we see in the future, maybe like some part of Catania, like, reaches out to him in the great beyond. Because we still don't 100% know how like death works in this like world. Like, I mean, like the plane between this life and the next, that afterlife aspect, we don't know like what that is. Will it have any impact on the Shannara Chronicles? Like, I mean, like that world at all? Will it just be like, and death's death? Like, there might be something beyond it. Because I don't think they've ever really talked about it in this, I don't know, it's just something to think about. But I don't know if that's going to come up at all. You would think it would, considering like she is a tie to who Bandon was at one point, or who he was back then in season 1, which obviously plays a role in this episode, but I'll get to that soon enough. But you do have the Queen still playing dumb, like, oh my god, oh, Ander, yeah, the person that was betraying you was like right beside you. How dare you assume that maybe I was working with the Crimson, even though she is? It's like, dude, what are you doing? She's such a good liar too, though. Like Illyria points it out later on, it's like Ander can see through your lies and stuff like that. Which we ended up finding from this episode that Bandit ends up talking about the fact is that she owes a debt to the Warlock Lord. That affected matter is during the great the war of the races all those years ago, her people were in a very bad way and she called upon his help because she has that thing around her neck. I guess that's connected to the war. Maybe he helped. Like, it's something magical because the moment Bandon showed up, it glowed. So it must resonate with the Warlock Lord or something, resonated with his blade that Bandit has or something. I don't know. That was just kind of interesting. Also, it was pretty brutal what he did to those guards, like stabbing them and throwing some of them, like impaling them in the wall like that. That sucks. So I am curious what it is that the queen promised the Warlock Lord. Immediately, my brain kind of thinks Lyria. Just because it's like the way she's so controlling about her daughter in this whole Anders situation. It's like, yeah, that's using her as a means to manipulate that whole situation. But who's to say, like, maybe the whole point was maybe it's like a daughter or her daughter or a grandchild might have been the price to pay for that. That might be what that is. Maybe it's like, oh, get her married off really quickly. So even though she's meant to manipulate Arbalon from the inside, that maybe the whole point is for her to also have a grandkid immediately. So I don't know. Maybe it's it's like she makes it seem like everything she does is for her daughter, but it's like it seems like everything's for her own reason too. But that's just me being very callous about it. Because the fact of the matter is, everything she does, is for her own or for her people. It means screwing over people who are potential allies and everything, but still, those are her people that she's trying to do everything for. So I don't know, in the grand scheme of things, it's super sad. They've also got a brutal way of dealing with traitors, just pushing you off. I guess the whole point is because it's such a high up altitude and the waterfall being so, like, the water being so rushing down that waterfall that the impact will kill you. So part of me was hoping that he'd keep Dawn alive just to be like, I want you to be around when because he's like, you underestimated me for the last time. So I was kind of hoping you keep him around just to show him up, watch everything kind of burn around him in the sense of everything he's fighting for and believes ends up kind of turning to nothing. It's kind of what I was hoping for. Turned out not to be the case, so. Especially what it is that the queen offered the Shadow Lord in return. And notice that she's keeping her mouth shut about all of that too. So there's got to be something there to it as well. There's definitely got to be some validity to the whole Lyria situation. Maybe it has something to do with Arbalon as well. Like whatever the case may be, because it's like she's not willing to confront and be like, okay, I was told about. Like, no, she knows this is coming, but she's still like helping with the whole Crimson situation, which is a big situation all in its own. But we still have that to deal with. So whatever the price is, it's most likely very, very steep. Now, the other side of the episode dealt specifically with Mareth, Alanon, and Will. There's obviously being a little issue between Alanon and Mareth because Alanon's like, there's no way she's my daughter. But it turns out the reason why he believes that is because the sleep was supposed to make it so that he can't have children. So it's a combination of just like him not wanting to really be a father and also believing he couldn't be a father. But later on, we finally understand why he was like that. And it kind of coincides with the way Will's dad was. Like everything they did was because they never actually wanted children because of the burden they have. Him as a druid and Shay as a Shannara, that burden would pass on to their children. That's why, like, he was so rough on Will. At one point, we see he kind of beats Will because Will picked up a sword. That sword ended up being the Shannara blade, which they're going after this episode. It's because he knew the moment that sword was in his son's hand, like, what that would mean. It's a magical sword, and as we know, magic always comes with a price, and especially a weapon that's considered the most powerful thing ever created. So, it's going to take a steep price, too. So, for him, it was just like, in his own way, he was trying to protect his son, and you can tell Alanon was doing the same way. Because he was like, I can't help you. Like, I wouldn't be the one to help you. Because it's like, because he doesn't want to help Mareth get control of her powers. Because it would mean dooming her to his destiny. The reason why he left Pyrea in the first place was because of his destiny as a druid. Like, it got in his way, and it's like, the same situation with Will. Like, the fact of the matter is, once you go down that path, there's no going back. Any hopes of any life will forever be burdened by this duty that you're going to have. Like I said, it does seem like they are setting her up to be the next druid. That also might mean that later on in the storyline, they're planning on killing off Alanon because he's not needed anymore, because Mareth is supposed to fill that position. So she might become like the druid that kind of like everyone goes to for everything going forward. Like, by the time this season is over, it might go down that route. Like I said, we saw last episode, like, the symbols disappearing from the back of his head. That was immediately where my brain was going. But at the very least, he hasn't noticed yet, so it's probably not something that's immediately happening all at once. Maybe he notices it, he just isn't saying anything, but it might be extra reason to train Mareth while he can, so. Which this does kind of change her perspective, because as I brought up again, I kind of figured it was going to be like that, like her being like, I don't need a father figure. I just need you to tell me how to control my powers. Because, much like Will and his dad's situation, she had the same situation with her mom. Her mom, like, like being so disgusted with her in the sense of, because every time she looked at Pyrea looked at Meredith, it reminded her of, Alan, which still begs the question, how did that happen? Because his powers don't come naturally. They are kind of like a druid thing, but I guess by becoming a druid, accepting that responsibility, for him, his magic isn't just a tool. It's like an extension of himself, like a sword would be. So I'm guessing it kind of works that way, that it kind of ingrains itself in his DNA to the point that the moment he had a child, she gained magic abilities like him. She talks about the fact that her powers awakened at 10. We also do find out that her powers are beyond just illusions. She can do other stuff too, but illusions are the easiest thing to control. When her emotions get the best of us, when she gets super mad, then it comes out. It comes out in different forms. So probably something similar to like a more offensive ability, like Will, when he uses the elf stones and everything. So it's kind of interesting because when they were going up against that creature known as the Dweller, which basically feeds on pain, I was actually surprised what memory it ended up bringing up. It ended up bringing up something between Will and his dad. I guess it was trauma, because for him that was it. Because issues with his dad has always been always throughout his life situation, because of the way his dad was, but that was just because his dad was so consumed with the past that he just couldn't live that normal life, because he couldn't forget what he had been through. Wanting a normal life for Will and his mom, all of that was just kind of too much, and it was a little too much for him to handle, especially because he kind of handled it on his own. So I guess growing up like that, now finding out that your dad wasn't just some drunk or just some guy who abandoned you. He was a hero that went through a lot, who suffered alone. So I guess that's why the trauma, like why that particular thing came out, because you would think like the first thing that came to his mind was the whole Amberley situation. I was sure that was what it was going to torture him with, like when he's mentioned trauma, and it's like that's what's still pushing Will to this point. I was also halfway expecting everyone else to kind of get caught by the Dweller as well. I was thinking there was going to be more than one. Turns out there's only one. But I thought we were going to see everyone else's fears too, but it turns out not to be the case. It's pretty brutal what it does, like wrap itself around you and cover one eye and shoots like that fadey blue stuff all over your face to kind of trap you in your pain. So at the end of it all, we do see Will, kneeling before his dad, which is like, that's a super sucky burial ground. I am curious, like, how he did ultimately die, because he asked to be buried there because it's like he didn't, he wanted to sort of be as far away from Will as anyone else, just because it just adds his hopes and prayers that the Shannara destiny would never befall his son. So I'm like, because the Elfstones this whole thing ultimately led to his death. I don't know whether it's like using the price for doing whatever he did finally was what cost him his life. Maybe might be kind of foreshadowing what's going to happen to Will, that when this is all said and done, that ultimately what he would do, it will cost him his life, which for him it's like he'll pay whatever price he needs to kind of see this all done, to protect his Uncle Flick and end this all once and for all, so. But another side of this episode too that I thought was so interesting was the whole Bandon side of things, because we do see Bandon and Flick talking, because Bandon still blames Al-Anon for everything that he's done, all for the purposes of protecting this land, which I guess in Bandon's eyes, it's not worth protecting. It's a terrible place. There's no good here. So he'd rather be, even if he ends up being a servant to the Warlock Lord, that's better than just kind of being stuck in this world the way he is. Because now, Bandon's problem is he feels, abandoned, like he feels alone. And it's not just a recent thing. It's always been a thing, because it kind of plays into this episode, because he ends up taking Flick to this house, and it's like, okay, it's like, oh, you want to test these people about your good thing? Oh, good thing. I was like, I don't get what this is about. It's like, oh, because that house in particular ended up being his. The moment he started talking about, the family talks about the person who lived there before, I'm like, this is Bandon's place, of course. I didn't remember it. Like, it looked like they showed it from a certain angle so you wouldn't know, like, it is his place. Because we did see his house and everything, like the area, like back in season 1. But basically, they're talking all this trash. They're like, oh, he's terrible and magic users are terrible. I mean, granted, they didn't know Bandon was the one they were talking about in that particular time. But it's like, oh, magic users should all die because they're the reason why this all happened. Who's to say Bandon trying to warn his parents? Who's to say he didn't summon the demons to kill them himself? His parents chained him up at the muzzle. Like, we know his parents treated him like crap. Now we got even more to hear, oh, why Bandon ended up the way he was. That the fact of the matter is, I guess it's also too like contrast between Will and his parents. Like Will's family, yes, he had his issues, but his family, like his dad in particular, was trying to keep him from the truth and just to give him a normal life. Where Bandon's parents like demonized him for his gift and made him like feel like a freak or a monster, treated him less than their son, you know, that he was a monster or something. So I guess you could ultimately say, like, even if Al-Anon had not done what he did, maybe Bandon would have gone down this path anyway. Maybe it's because of his past and a combination of what Al-Anon did that led to things being like this. If Al-Anon had not been so caught up in everything, maybe he could have shifted Bandon's destiny, you know? So it was actually pretty brutal because he muzzled up that kid and then he ends up killing him. Was not expecting. I was kind of, it's like, I thought what he was going to do is killing the boy's parents in front of him to make the boy more like him. But he ended up doing the opposite and ended up killing the boy in front of his parents. Which you do see like this look on his face. Like, it's not like he enjoyed it. It just, I guess he felt the pain. Like there is still a piece of Bandit inside there that is still not 100% on board with this whole situation. It was more so to kind of, I guess, show them like, yeah, you're right, I am evil. That the fact of the matter, almost like once you're going down a path, you can't change that. Ultimately, magic, I guess, is evil. You people are evil as well for thinking the way you are, because the fact of the matter is, I was a boy who was alone, who was in a terrible situation, and you're up here saying that I should have died. Almost that, but not almost, directly saying that I deserved it, that my parents are doing the right thing because I'm a monster, so that sucks. What he did beyond that, we never went back to it, but I am curious to find out, did he kill them too? Did he burn down his house? Like, what happened? Also, did Bandon always have those marks on his back? That must be like a more recent thing, because I don't think he ever had, to my recollection, I don't think we ever saw his back last season. So I get the feeling like those symbols on his back are a more recent thing, so like I said, like it's just sad because ultimately Bandon's doing all of this to fill a hole in his heart, essentially, like that he felt like he was alone. I mean, the fact of the matter is the Dagnamor did all this to you. You blame Al-Anon for sending you to the Dagnamor, but the Dagnamor belongs to the Warlock Lord. But like I said, ultimately, like he wants to belong somewhere. He doesn't want to feel at loss, no matter what the direction he wants a direction to go in. So ultimately, I'm interested to see like where Bandon's story takes him for the rest of the season, like where this all comes down to. Like, will it end with him shifting? Will he stay on this path? That is the question. Like I said, a great episode. I'm very interested to see what goes on in next week, specifically because next week is going to be 2 episodes instead of 1, so it is starting an hour earlier. So do keep that in mind. 2 episodes next week, starting an hour earlier because of said 2 episodes. So, which it's got the new time thing, which I'm curious, is they're saying like new time because it's going to be moving up to 9 permanently? I mean, moving up an hour earlier, the reason why I took that back was because obviously for time zones for different people watching it. So I'm curious, is that going to be a thing, or is it just specifically for these 2 episodes? I mean, we'll just have to wait. So I'm very interested to see what goes down, because the next episode, you know, I kind of brought it up a little bit earlier, but kind of spoils things about like, you know, it's like, it seems like we're going to definitely be diving into more about Eritrea's whole thing, like, you know, why she's so special, like what's up with her. Like we're kind of probably diving into that next episode. Nevertheless, I'm very interested to see what the next episodes have in store for us. So, but really, that's all I want to talk about. Until the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.